Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications.
Well, I hope you're having a great June the 6th, as am I. The weather seems to be pretty nice here. Hopefully that's the same where you're at. And I have a few questions to answer in this video. And if you would like to ask a question, you can always post your question as a comment, and I will do my best to answer it. Or you can email me directly at searchforsigns@mail.com. All right, here we go. All right, first one from Zen. Why is it that KH and El Moria look like the historical depictions of Jesus? He's talking about the picture that I have on my videos. Zen, those are just drawings from the Theosophical Society, and they look similar to the descriptions that Alice Bailey said that they look like, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they look exactly like that for sure. You know, the pictures of them, they look kind of pissed off, actually. So I know Alice Bailey described the Master Moria as having a very stern look, so I guess he must have like a resting bitch face. But if it wasn't for the loving look in his eyes, from what she said, so he'd have a very stern look. And Jesus apparently looks very similar to the paintings of Jesus. I know Benjamin Creme said, think of the paintings of Jesus from El Greco. Dominicus Theotokopoulos was that painter's name, but he was Greek and lived in Spain, and the people in Spain couldn't pronounce Dominicus Theotokopoulos, so they just called him El Greco, which is Spanish for the Greek. But if you look at his paintings, those are supposed to be very similar to how Jesus looks. So he kind of has a pale face, kind of deeper set eyes, long hair, that kind of thing. Now the picture of Maitreya, that's how he appeared in Nairobi, Kenya, for that religious group. They were expecting Jesus to come back, and that's how they expect Jesus to come back, wearing that white with the blue. So Maitreya doesn't walk around town wearing that outfit. It was just how he wore it in Nairobi, Kenya, 32 years ago this month, actually. So he looks how he looks. Now, Benjamin Creme described Maitreya as looking a lot like the Maitreya Buddha statues. And there was a time where I saw Maitreya in the parking lot, and this was back in like 94 maybe, something like that. I can't remember exactly when, 94, 95, something like that. And when I saw him, he was leaning up against a BMW, but he had the face of the Maitreya Buddha statues, a very small, kind of thin chin. He had a kind of a smallish mustache. He could wear a mustache pretty well, didn't look like a out-of-work porn star or anything like that, like most people that try to sport a mustache these days, And he had this wet look, kind of curly hair, kind of wet look, but he was tan. He looked like he could have been Spanish. He could have been Middle Eastern, Indian. You just kind of couldn't tell. I couldn't really tell his age. I was in my early 20s. He looked older than me, but he could have been like 30, could have been 40, late 30s. I couldn't really tell, his age. But I'm 6 feet, and he was at least 2 inches taller than me, so maybe 2 or 3 inches taller than me, but kind of broad shoulders, kind of thin. A nice looking guy, but, and I wonder when I see Maitreya out on TV, known for who he is, that's how he actually looks, because that's kind of how I have how I have him looking in my mind. But other times that I saw Maitreya, didn't look anything like that. It was just the energy of Maitreya and the eyes of Maitreya. When you see him, it's unmistakable. You can, if you've experienced the energy and the love of Maitreya and you see it again, you can pick up on it again, and even though he looks totally different in a physical body, it's the same energy, same person, same master behind that look. So anyway, I hope that helps. But yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Master KH and the Master Moria look like that. Although, like I said, Alice Bailey said that those pictures from the Theosophical Society that were drawings did look very similar to how they looked. So anyway, next question comes from Ferret Kung Fu. Boy, I should come up with a really good name other than my real name. That's a cool name, actually. Maitreya's drawing includes the words, quote, "Remember to pray. According to Maitreya, what is prayer and how are we to pray? And what are Maitreya's teachings regarding God. All right, Ferret Kung Fu. First of all, Maitreya would say pray to whatever God you believe in. Whether it's, if you're Muslim, pray to Allah. If you're a Christian, pray to Jesus or God or whatever. If you're Jewish, pray to God, Jehovah or whatever. The masters basically handle the customer complaint department when it comes to prayers. So they're the ones that answer the prayers anyway. They don't get the credit for it. People think it's, a lot of times it is Jesus himself doing it, but it might be another master that sends a healing if somebody asks for that or whatever. But it's one or other of these masters that are answering the prayers. But they would say, pray to whatever God you believe in. Some people do pray to Maitreya. I pray to Maitreya all the time, but you don't have to if you don't believe that he's who I think he is. That's no problem with that. Pray to Jesus if you're a Christian. It all depends on your intention within the prayer. And I jokingly say this: don't pray for a full head of hair. I've tried that. That doesn't work. I'm still bald as ever. I know people that have prayed for the University of Georgia to win the national championship every year. That apparently doesn't work either. So don't pray for your favorite sports team. Keep it real. Keep it, use your common sense on your prayer. But these, God does listen to these prayers and does answer prayers. But it's just however you want to pray. You want to pray to God, pray to the universe, pray to the Divine Mother, whatever it is, whatever you want to pray to is fine. I know most fundamentalist Christians would totally disagree with that, but believe me, I've prayed to Maitreya and he's answered my prayers, and I prayed to Maitreya to save me and he's saved me. So, there is some truth to that too, but it just depends on how you want to pray for yourself. Now, Maitreya's prayer, or the prayer for the New Age, goes like this. And it kind of leads me to your next question about what's his teachings regarding God. But so the prayer for the New Age that Maitreya will be teaching humanity goes like this. I am the creator of the universe. I am the father and mother of the universe. Everything came from me. Everything shall return to me. Mind, spirit, and body are my temples for the self to realize in them my supreme being and becoming. So, the reason why I said that is because Maitreya's teachings regarding God is that God is universal, but God is without, and universally without, and God is also within all of us. We all share that same divinity. That's why he says we're all equal sons of God. It's just the measure of our divinity. It's how much we're manifesting our divinity, really. So within each of us is that divine self. So the process is detaching from our emotions first, and then we have to detach from the illusions of the mind. The things that we identify with, the body, the emotions, the mind. I am a white male. I am 48 years old. I was born in Michigan. Those are all illusions. That's not even who I am. That's who society says that I am, right? And then you got emotions. I am mad. I am happy. I'm great today. I am this. I am that. Those are all, we're identifying with the emotions, right? Or I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm very conservative. I think I'm very progressive. I find myself to be an architect, these days, or, whatever, right? I am rich. I must be better than everybody else. I am poor. I'm not as good as everybody else. I'm highly educated. Therefore, I must be smarter and more, adept to handle life than most people. Those are all illusions that people have, right? So who we are is what's behind that. And when you say the New Age prayer, you actually start to identify with your real self, which is the big S, the self. So when Jesus said, I and the Father are one and the same, he was talking about himself in relation to his higher self. So the lower Jesus, the lesser Jesus, didn't have a will for his own. He was operating on the plan of God because he was relating to his higher self perfectly, as do all these masters. These masters don't have any individual agenda for themselves. They don't wake up each day and go, you know what, I'm going to make $50,000 today, or I'm going to make $1,000,000. I'm going to start a new business. I'm going to do this. They have plans in place but they're not their individual plans. They're plans of God that they're trying to set in place for humanity to grow. They're only thinking about others. They don't have any sense of self, individual self. In fact, when Benjamin Creme was saying when he would talk to his master didn't use the word I. He would always say, the master would like for you to learn this today, speaking in third person, because he doesn't relate that way, and, you'll find that when you're relating with the self, it's harsh to use the word I. It's almost like you're lying, when you say I this, I that. It's like you're talking about somebody else, if that makes any sense. But God is universal. So there is a universal God that makes up all the laws and consciousness and manifested universe and unmanifested universe in its totality, right? That's God. But yet we are a part of that God. There's no separation between us and God. So Maitreya's teachings will be very practical in its method, and when it comes to relation to God, but also he'll be speaking the truth of the matter. There is no separation between you and what God is. And that is the lie that the churches present all throughout the ages, is that you're separate from God. You're the sinner. God's perfect. Jesus is perfect. And you can never be perfect like them. The closest thing you can do is just to come to church every Sunday, tithe 10% to us every Sunday, try to live a good life. But then again, you're always going to fail because you are not perfect. That's what their shtick is, right? Well, Maitreya would say, you are divine. You've always been divine. You're just as divine as Jesus is. It's just the level of the manifestation of that divinity. Are you manifesting on the level as, let's say, Jesus or the Buddha or whatever? But in time, you will get there. But the two great laws that you have to work with, the law of cause and effect and the law of rebirth, those are the two great laws that you have to deal with. The most important is the law of cause and effect, because that's not lifetime to lifetime, that's moment to moment within your life, right? And it affects your next lifetime, so to speak. So the more harmless you live within that law, the more you will make less karma for yourself, and the more you'll start to manifest your divinity within yourself. It's all about harmlessness. Now, it also leads me to, hopefully that answers that question. But then, the other thing too about prayer is, the other side of it is invocation. And I printed in my description the great invocation. And Maitreya, it's an ancient invocation that nobody really knows the origins of. It's eons and eons old. But Maitreya himself says the great invocation every day. And invocations are different because invocations are not prayer. Prayer is more of an aspirational kind of thing. You have a question you want answered, or you want a healing, or want help in some regard. And invocation is more of you're kind of directly at cause and making it happen. Now, the cool thing about the great invocation is you can say it incorrectly and it still works. Most invocations, if you say it incorrectly, it can even be dangerous, So, but this one is so forgiving that even if you skip a word or mix it up a little bit or here or there, it still works just fine. So that's the genius behind that invocation. It's called the Great Invocation. It's wonderful. So I do recommend using that as well. But it kind of leads me to, when you're talking about spirituality and God, leads me to the next question, which is coming from Jerry Wells, okay? And that's going to lead me to Benjamin Creme's Master's article that I'm going to read. But it says, there has recently been discussion that the sharing of a coronavirus vaccine will be necessary from the rich to the poorer countries. Do you think that this could usher in the type of sharing the Masters desire? I hope so, but I doubt it. And, will the United States share the coronavirus with other countries? I sure hope they do. That would be a great thing to do. But sharing is a spiritual principle. It's based on the fact that we are God. Maitreya says when you share, you recognize God within your brother. Everything in cosmos shares, except for it kind of stops right at the human level because we're selfish. We don't identify with the right thing. We're identifying with the little self, not the big self. And so the principle of sharing, when Maitreya comes out and starts talking about it, and I think that the crisis that we're going through with the coronavirus, with the unemployment, believe me when I tell you this, the economy is not good no matter what they're trying to put out there. That just because the Dow goes up does not mean the economy is doing great. It just means that they just pumped a bunch of money back into the economy. So that's all a bunch of, as my mom would say, hooey or bull ticky, whatever you want to say it, right? And then, now with the racial protests and so forth, Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff. And there's going to be other things coming too. It's just coming in waves, right? When Maitreya finally does step out and say, okay, here's what I think we should start doing, and people start to listen to him and trust him. And I think the reason why he's been speaking as one of us and not as a messiah figure is to build that relationship with humanity over the last 10 years. And that's why I do think he's probably already known on TV as somebody and just not speaking in a way that to be recognized in that way. And so, but when he starts to kind of step it up, as Benjamin Creme's master would say, he's going to start advocating, here you guys want justice. I mean, he's going to say it differently, right? But you want justice, but the only way to create justice in the world is to share the world's resources. And people, those people who are marching for justice, I think will start to get it like, yes. How do we do that? Well, it's not going to be what people are afraid of, where the masters are going to advocate some agency coming in and stealing money out of your account, giving it to somebody else. That's not ever going to happen. But there are countries like the United States that sit on resources that they don't even use for whatever reason, and that they could give freely and just give it to other countries that need it. And even inter-country wise, they could give it to people to help them out. And they refuse to do it because they're afraid of what might happen next, kind of deal, right? If they gave it to those other countries, and then let's say another country has a tiny little excess of something that they can give to another country over there, and blah, 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 yada, yada, and it starts to happen like that, what will happen is needs will start to get met more and more. Countries will start to trust one another more and more. And it's about trust that's going to create global peace. But it's going to come from the people, Jerry. It's not going to come from the governments. There isn't a government in place right now that's going to institute sharing without the people demanding it first. And it's going to be Maitreya behind, the scenes, being the voice of the people, articulating what these people really want. They want justice, and they do want peace. You can't have peace when police are cracking down on certain races and not on others. You can't have that. You can't have peace when some countries are living quite well or fairly well and other ones are living in abject poverty. You can't have peace when people don't have jobs and no way to live, no way to make money, don't have health insurance, don't have all these things. You can't have peace like that. And so the governments aren't the answer. The people are the answer, really. Maitreya will be articulating what these people are fighting for. He'll articulate it and focus it in such a way that so many people will energize so many more people to change, because they will finally feel like they have that voice that they've been wanting all along. But it's going to come from the people, not from the government. Now, is it a good idea that they share their coronavirus? Yeah, absolutely. I hope they do. But, it's not, that's not the end all and be all of it. And I don't think that will start any kind of sharing thing. But I think what's going to start the sharing thing is people finally going, okay, I can't live my life like this anymore. We're going to have to change. And, I think that's going to bring about it. But Jerry, you brought me to what I want to read from Benjamin Creme's master's article. And it was actually the second article he ever wrote. The first article was about a New Age concept of time. And according to Ben, the reason why that one was the first one was because even though Benjamin Creme kept using the word soon in relation to Maitreya coming out, that's not how the masters see soon. They might see soon as 25 years. 25 years to them is like a couple weeks. So anyway, think about it like that. But anyway, because they see time as eternal. Time is one, and everything happening now. But the second thing, which is, I think, just as important as the New Age concept of time, is the whole principle of sharing. So hopefully this helps. In this coming age, mankind will evolve several methods of dealing with the problems involved in implementing the principle of sharing. Each stage in the unfoldment of this precious principle will bring man closer to his source. Gradually, a new humanity will be seen, manifesting more and more of its divine potential. In the first stage, redistribution will be the keynote. Each nation will make available to the common pool those resources which it has beyond its needs. Through a sophisticated form of barter, the world's goods will be shared until such time as man's inner divinity awakens within him a desire for a simpler method of structuring his economic life. Then will follow the stage of emancipation of humanity from the drudgery of needless work. Machines will gradually take over from man the tasks of manufacture. All the artifacts of our daily lives will one day be created in this way. This will lead to a self-sufficiency unthinkable today. So great are the differences in developed and resources among the nations, these machines will liberate man for the exploration of his own inner nature and guarantee his progress toward divinity. In time, these machines will be created by an act of will. By the power of his illumined mind, man will bring together an aggregate of forces and call into being these instruments and devices through which all his needs will be met. Then that which is shared will be the resources and fruits of the Spirit. A creativity unlike aught seen before will transform men's lives, and in this new livingness and beauty will share. Thus will men demonstrate themselves as gods. All of this is conditional on man's right choices now, his ability to make the necessary sacrifices for the good of all. This achieved, the way is opened for the deliverance of man from those self-imposed limitations which now have him in thrall. From our point of view, these conditions are being met. Already, the signs are becoming apparent that humanity is daily growing in awareness that the time available in which to make the needed changes is short indeed. Before long will merge a new sense of oneness, of belonging to one family of brothers and sisters. A new and better direction will fashion men's lives, and together in growing harmony, the steps will be taken which will ensure their progress. A growing realization of man's destiny and purpose will carry him forward and enlighten his path. Thus, the stages of sharing will be implemented, expressing at each stage some further aspect of man's divine nature, revealing in ever-growing radiance the glory of that nature. Much there is to do in this coming time to seize the opportunities now being presented to humanity to evolve in an altogether heightened rhythm. Never before in such potency have the energies been available for this. This time is thus unique. Unique also is the presence in your midst of the Prince of Peace, the herald of the new dawn, and a growing number of his disciples. Under our wise guidance, man will come to realize his true stature and fulfill his destiny.
Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.